I would regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game, and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever. Yeah.
No, because if they take Aquanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold?
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold, or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today, you can't get rid of him.
Right, it's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
You know, what would, if you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.
Oh yeah, go. Amazing, that's my boy. He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down. Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch. He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too. It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown.
This is a touchdown all the way.
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati. They did. San Francisco beat Cincinnati. It was a great game. Now we just need San Francisco to beat Miami, and that's going to be on Sunday. We got lots of stuff to talk about, namely a weekend where I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have to check with somebody. I almost gave it away. Who's joining me? I have to check in with somebody. A lot of people are saying if the Patriots beat the Bills, and if Miami loses, then we're playing Buffalo for first place next week. But I say, wait a second. If the Bills lose, and if Miami loses, that means we have the same record as them if we win, and we beat both those teams. Doesn't it mean that we're in first place? Maybe because it's three-way, it's complicated, and maybe not. I don't know. But that's what this guy is for. I hope maybe he knows. If he doesn't, we'll find out. Maybe somebody in the chat will know, because I'm under the impression that we could be in first place by Sunday night. Am I right? Am I wrong? I'd like to introduce someone who makes this show. You might think this is chaos. This is not chaos. This is double chaos, baby. Lee Cravat is in the house.
Yo!
What is going on?
I am in the house, baby.
You're in the house.
I just came back from the dentist where I got a crown.
Nice. What did you have?
They said, here's some Novocaine. We got to needle you up. And I said, I'm doing some double chaos later today. This is like an hour ago. You can't numb me up. I want it without the needle. It hurt, but I'm fine now.
Wow.
I don't want to be numb for you, buddy boy.
So we got Adam Crofts in here saying, what's up, King? I don't know who King is, but maybe I'm king. Maybe you're king. Maybe we're both kings. Maybe we're all kings. Kings of our own personal domain. What do you think?
I am not royalty. That I know. That I know. I once had a pair of kings and I got knocked out of the main event with them.
Kansas City. Clutch. He's a Kansas City Chief fan. Young, knowledgeable, big fan of the Chiefs. Very early in his life, he got to experience a Super Bowl victory and followed up by a Super Bowl loss. But hey, it's more than we've had in our lifetime, at least more than I have. Yeah. So good by you.
You were born after Namath won the Super Bowl.
I was born 10 months later. 10 months later, I came out, and the Jets said, we're never going to win again.
That was it. No Super Bowl that you were alive for had the Jets.
None. I was talking to just you at the time, but you both are.
All right.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, I'm king of my cave right here. My
Yeah.
cave.
I'm hyped for Sunday. Are you hyped for Sunday, Lee?
I'm so excited because you had some problems figuring this out, but we will own first place if everything goes right. A lot, 3 games have to go for us. We're going to take Minnesota out of that. I'm fairly confident. And then we would need New England to take Buffalo, and we would need Miami to go down.
Well, it seems that. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
No, to me, it seems that the hardest part of the equation for us to be in first place would be tonight, because tonight for this to be possible, the Patriots would have to beat the Bills.
Yeah, the Patriots have to beat the Bills. And I know you did a video on it and called people like me stupid and everything, but like I'm not married to either outcome, just to be honest.
I'm not either.
I mean,
I didn't call anybody out.
I don't know. The first half of the show was, if you think that you have no faith in the Jets, if you want.
I was imitating the different arguments that I was hearing.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I'm happy. It's kind of weird to say it, but I'm happy both ways. I mean, if Buffalo wins, then we got a 2-game lead on New England then. And, we're tied, so they get the tiebreaker. So that gives us some room to lose a couple if New England wins a couple. But with Buffalo, if they go down, it's kind of exciting because we can end the weekend in first. If Miami goes down also, we have all the tiebreakers there.
Right. Now, the reality is, since we have to play Buffalo anyway, it's the same thing as if it's the same thing as if we were playing them for first place in defense of people saying of what they mean when they're saying we're playing for first place. Because the reality is we'd be playing for first place. Yeah. Because if we lose, then we're no longer in first.
In the following week, but really, if you think about it, we would let's say the Buffalo loses. I don't want to make the whole show about this. I want to talk about Minnesota. But let's say Buffalo loses to New England, and then we win, and Miami loses. Then we're tied for first. We're in first, but we're really tied with 2 teams, and these are 2 teams where we have to go to their home and play them. So I would, since we just have the tiebreaker, I would give the advantage to them. Okay. Just because we have to go into their, to their fans, and we have to hear them screaming, and that's intimidating. Until we went, we still haven't won a divisional game on the road in a very long time.
Right.
So
this is true.
Asking a lot. I'm going to sound like Salah here. We have to take one game at a time. Each game is a playoff game. Each game is hard to win in this league. It's very hard to get a win in this league. But I make fun of the guy because he says the same things all the time. But it's true. Every game, I really am thinking. I mean, certainly you and I talk about the long-term repercussions of a win, of a loss. I mean, we definitely want Super Bowl, but I just want to win. I just want to win this game, and then we could figure out if we could win the next game.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm struggling right now as we talk. Somebody told me there's a feature where you can stop people who are not subscribers from chatting. And what that does is it gets rid of the spam. But I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm having a really big problem.
Are people spamming?
Huh?
Are people spamming?
I get it a lot. I get a lot of spam.
Not right now. We got no spam. We got fans. Fans in the house.
I know, but I was told to do this. I was told, delete forever.
I still want to talk about. I came on this show in my mind to talk about Sunday. And mainly not our competitors, not the riffraff in our division. They're really good teams, actually. But about Minnesota and whether we could take them down.
Okay, now speaking of Minnesota and whether or not we can take them down,
Oh yeah, baby, we can.
Lee, do you think we can take them down?
I do. I do. And when I talked about going into Buffalo and I said we win that game, if you watch the tape, if you watch that episode, which has a lot of downloads, by the way, still gets them. I predicted that game really well, but I always said if the Jets, if Zach can do this, if the defense can do this, I put a lot of ifs out there. I said, if that all happens, we'll win by this score, and the score is pretty close. We did those things. I'm going to try not to say if as many times. I'll still say if, but I'm going to make it less ifs. I'm not going to say it at all.
I feel like here's the thing: the Vikings are 9-2.
They are,
but and this is no disrespect to them, even though if you're a Viking fan would probably take it as an insult. And the Vikings,
listen, any W in this league is hard to get and well earned. So don't be putting those 9 W's down.
I'm not putting the 9 W's down. What I'm saying is, even though they're 9-2, a lot of people are looking at the record, and I'm just saying, Kansas City does not have as good a record as Minnesota. San Francisco does not have as good a record as Minnesota. Yet I feel that the Minnesota game is more winnable than those two games would be. Like nothing's easy, but it's an easier.
We're going to win this game. It's not going to be easy at all, but we're going to win this game. I can tell you why if you want to know.
That's my next question. Why, Lee? Why are we going to win this game? Because I'm all freaked out thinking we're going to lose because they're 9-2.
You
tell me why we're going to win.
You think we're going to win too, but this is my reasoning, okay? And again, against the Bears, I was saying, we have to keep away from the penalties because we had a lot of penalties. And we have to keep away from the interceptions because we had a lot of interceptions. I'm not going to talk about those. We got those covered right now. Here's what's going to happen. Number one is Minnesota, half their offense. Well, let me start further back. Minnesota scores, it's not a hard and fast rule, but they're a 30-point team. They score 30 points, give or take. Okay, that's just the kind of team they are. And they generally win basically by about a touchdown. I'm talking about the last, 5-6 games. There's one fluke game where they got blown out, but they generally win by a touchdown. So basically it's a 30-24 type team. That's the score they like. When they win, they're winning in that zone. And that means thing number one that's not going to happen, they're not going to score 30 points against the Jets defense. Frankly, I don't know if any teams out there can score 30 points against our defense if our offense isn't throwing interceptions, if our offense isn't handing them the ball, okay? No one's going to score 30 points off of us, so they're not going to get to 30. I don't think they're going to get to 20, and I'm going to say Minnesota scores 13 points against the New York Jets.
You think we're going to hold Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, that guy Cook, Delvin Cook,
baby, Cook.
You think we're gonna hold them to 13 points?
We're gonna cook. I've been playing around in my mind with it, and sometimes I go to 17. So if it's 17, fine. But I'm in the 13 to 17 zone, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we have a great defense. We are, and you said it. You said you named 3 names. I looked at Cousins. I watched some tape. He's fine. He's. I'm not. This is kind of mean to say, but he's like your Mike White. I mean, he makes the easy look easy. Okay, he's just taking what they give. Right, it's standard star quarterback football in the NFL. What does Brady do? You just take what they give, and so Cousins. again, he's solid. He's totally solid. He's a really good quarterback. He's taking what you give him, and the Jets are good at giving a little bit less than most teams give. So I'm not going to put him there as the star. I'm going to say the two stars are Jefferson and Cook. And if you go back and you look at the games between the two of them, they score. They don't score. They get 40 to 60% of the yardage of the offense. Half the offense is two guys. And they're looking at these tapes, the Jets defense looking at these tapes, and I'm not saying you can let the other people roam free. You can't do that. They do have other receivers that are quality, but their mission is to stop Jefferson and to stop Cook. And you can't tell me with what we've been seeing out of the Jets secondary. I mean, my God, the play has just been fantastic. I'm not saying we're going to shut Jefferson down because nobody does. He's a 6 to 10 reception guy for 100+ yards. Not against us. He'll get a few, but not like that. And that's why they're not going to get their 30, and we're going to hold them to 13, 17 points.
I like it. And, I think what it comes down to is offense. I don't want to, like a lot of people want to write to Mike White. And I understand that because obviously it's his second game. He was moved in over Zach. It's a big story. But the reality is we got to get back to the fundamental thinking of the offense, right? And it's more than just Mike White. And can he be the same guy? Because no quarterback can be effective or be like do what he did last week without a good team around him. So let's go back to the roots of what I know, believe more than anyone. Let's go back to the roots of the team on offense, and that's the offensive line. We have Max Mitchell, who came back last week, who they didn't want to rush back, but because of an injury, they had to put him in, and he ended up playing great. No pressures given up in the passing game. Good, solid run blocking. Now he comes back after playing last week. We know he's good to go. We got a healthy Max Mitchell. Huge, beautiful surprise for the team this year. Didn't expect it, but we have a solid right tackle. Herbig came back last week. Didn't come out hurt. Didn't have any problems. Played really well. We got our offensive line back, which means the running game that we saw last week against the Bears was not a fluke. We could probably expect to see some good running. And
don't you think that's
as important as anything else?
Yeah, early on, I'm not against what you're saying, but early on, didn't you think the running game was struggling a little bit until White opened it up a bit with the passing, and that kind of opened up the lanes for running? No,
I think that's the way football is.
It goes back and forth, but you like to hear the running opening up the passing. But I think the passing opened up the running, which is crazy with our backup quarterback.
Well, I think what happened was teams have been playing the Jets with the defensive scheme of challenge the quarterback to beat us. If you're going to beat us, it has to be you, right? New England did that, and we all saw what happened with Zach, unfortunately. Minnesota came in and said, well, this is the backup to that guy, Zach Wilson, who couldn't throw a pass. So they came in, and they clearly, if you look how they were lining up in the beginning of the game, they had tons of guys in the box. They were basically saying, go ahead, Mike White. You could go beat us if you can beat us, but you guys aren't running for any yardage. This is what the Bears did. You're not going to run for any yardage against us. Try to beat us with your arm. And he did.
He did.
And they had to start adjusting, and the adjusting was get the guys out of the box and get them to help cover guys.
I agree 100%. And the Vikings are going to watch the tape, and they're going to see that Mike White likes to keep his eyes on his main targets for most of the route. They're going to see that, and they're going to see that if they don't do better coverage, if they bring everybody on the run, that he's going to complete a lot of passes. So they are not going to give him that. So the run might be there to open the game up. That's what you're saying.
I think that the run might be there. And I think maybe if they want to take a shot down the field, that might be there. Because I think Minnesota's going to want to take away the short game.
Yeah.
You're going to want to take away that zone of 5 to 15 yards out in the middle of the field because they know Mike White likes to go there.
I wouldn't.
And what that does is we can run some go routes, and we have the kind of guys that can get behind their defense if they do that.
No, I have to tell you, I have not seen White air one out. Does he have that arm?
He has the ability. Look, his college highlights are mixed. I watched him in college throw deep passes downfield that were short, where they were caught, but the receiver had to slow down. But there's a couple. There's definitely some highlights of him throwing deep where it was perfectly in stride. Beautiful deep passes.
Yeah. So what Salah I think has shown us is I think they would do a deep route if they thought they could take it, obviously, but it's take what they give. It's take what they give. And if they're just giving it, then I think he will try to take it. Really one thing very interesting about the game last week is that when it was evident they were not giving us the run, it took them no time at all to start passing. So when people say the plays are scripted, which I believe, I think we're willing to go off script really quick when we see what the defense is doing, because that's what we did last week.
Yeah.
We went right to the pass. So, I think you're right about the run. I think it could end up being a great way to start the game. But the thing about Mike White, so the question is, how many points are the Jets going to score? Okay. And I think that it's really going to be, when he got in trouble with Buffalo, first of all, it was a year ago, and it was Buffalo, but we got behind. We had been moving the ball. We just weren't able to score, and then we got behind, and then, no doubt, he started pressing. And at least the Mike White we've seen very little of. We don't know who he is really, but when he presses, he throws interceptions, which I think a lot of quarterbacks do. So I think it's very important not to put him into a position where he's going to throw an interception on a risky play early and get behind. So I think we need to totally keep him safe.
Yeah, yeah. What's nice is we're not having to hold guys for 3 to 4 seconds as far as keeping the pocket open.
Yeah.
Because Mike White gets rid of the ball. So it really makes it easier for our offensive line. Like when they were saying, zero pressures allowed by the tackles, I was saying, they have a quarterback who actually gets rid of the ball in 2.7 seconds. How hard can it be? Not that I could do it.
You can't do it.
How hard could it be for these 300-pound athletes?
Jeremy, if you're trying to do it, they would run right over you.
I'd be a pancake on the field. They would literally step on me. They would throw me out of the way. I'd go flying.
You'd be like,
they would throw me into Mike White. But like,
you see me and you and 2 others of us try to hold the line.
Looking at each other too. All right, you got this. You got this. You got the 320-pounder. You got the 335-pounder.
You got the guy that only has 5.5 speed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off, buddy. Sorry about that.
No. I think that Mike White getting rid of the ball fast makes it much easier for our offensive linemen because they are not expected or having to contain, these, NFL defensive linemen for that long of a time. They just have to, hold it, for a little bit. And I think it's a lot of pressure on the cornerbacks because this is a quarterback who's not afraid. So when that guy breaks on you and Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson gets any space on you, the ball's coming. The ball's coming.
I'm not going to say if. Here's what I'm going to say is going to happen. Here's the passes we're going to see. And I know you could go long, but I think what's going to happen, he's going to do his very quick drop back like he does. He's going to keep his eyes on his number one target, but his number one target's going to change. I think what we saw is if he sees coverage that's not going to let the number one route win, he's going to look to the other side of the field. He's going to look to where he has a chance of having a good pass. And if he doesn't have it, he's going to dump it off. And he's going to do that very quickly. Will he get sacked a couple of times if there's a missed block? Yes. I even say he might throw an interception because he he does throw tight passes. He's willing to put it out there. We have great receivers. They're going to get a little bit of space. They're going to make most of the catches. And so I don't think we're going to have another game like last game, which, by the way, was the single higher quarterback passer rating game of any quarterback all season. Who has it? Mike White, in his one first start on a rainy day, has the highest single game quarterback rating of the season. Just blows my mind. But I think that guy is, I don't see almost 80% completion with no interceptions. I can see 60 to 65%, maybe a little higher with an interception. But I do think that that's a 21, 24-point game, 20 to 24 points. We take it 20, 24 to 13, 17. It's Jets all the way, baby.
Yeah. I think that we're not going to see him obviously put up the same game against the Bears. And that's because of what you said. Like, when you have the best game quarterback rating wise in the entire NFL, every quarterback, every game for this entire season.
Yeah.
You cannot make the expectation that he's going to do it again.
No.
It's just impossible. And it's so funny because there are people saying somebody said this in our chat. This guy, Matt, who he's a huge Zach Wilson fanboy. He said, oh, well, give me a break. Zach would have done the same thing. It was the Bears defense.
I had that in one of my videos where I respond to that.
I got to think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, because you got a quarterback who, and I, big Zach guy here, believer, wants Zach to be great.
Yeah.
But Zach Wilson, we watch him throw incomplete passes, even though there's no pressure on him. Like, plenty of times he's in the pocket. There's no pressure. He's throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. He's turning and throwing it. So it doesn't matter who the defense is.
Yeah,
it could be the greatest defense ever played. Irrelevant. He's turning the ball after the snap, and his job is to throw it to his receiver, and that receiver is going to try to make a play. And we've seen him throw the ball to the ground and not be able to do it. So how are we supposed to believe, as bad as the Bears defense is, how are we supposed to believe that suddenly Zach Wilson was going to come out and have a 75% plus completion percentage?
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but we have to be fair. I want to be fair to Zach just a little bit. Against Buffalo, he did break 100. He had a very, very good game, and we beat Buffalo. It was super exciting.
Oh, yeah.
He still had some scary plays and scary moments where you said, ooh, we got away with that, but what was that? Because he threw so weird. But he still had a very good rating. And what I would say to somebody saying Zach would have done the same thing is that no quarterback all season did the same thing. No quarterback had that high a rating for any game. A lot of them played the Bears. A lot of them played a lot of other teams that have even a worse quarterback defense passing rating. So, I mean, Zach might have beat the Bears. I don't know, maybe even pretty well. Maybe he would have had a good game. But White had the best game. He had the best game of the season,
of any quarterback.
Any quarterback.
So he couldn't have been better. Couldn't have really been better.
It is. There have been higher quarterback rating scores, not this season, but other seasons. Some quarterbacks have achieved perfection. They've gotten the perfect. There is a highest you can get. As a matter of fact, Mike White's 149 was really a 150, but he scored above what you're allowed to score in completion percentage. So they took a point away. Yeah. It's kind of nutty, but there's maximums that you can get. So
kind of nutty.
But so to me, this is it. We hold Cook. I think we got to try to hold him to under 80. I think we will. We hold Jefferson to under 80. We do that, they can't win. They can't break 20 points. And, once they're in the teens, we break 20 with Mike White behind center. I have no doubt we're going to do it. We have so many weapons. The offensive line has been doing so much better lately. He gets the ball away quick, like you said. He doesn't make bonehead plays. He takes exactly what the defense gives him. As long as something doesn't go wrong some fumble or something you can't really stop. I mean, you know, like completely control, and we get behind, he starts to press. That's the only thing I'm nervous about. Even that, I think we can come back from. Like the Bears scored quickly against us, and we shut it down. So I do have a lot of faith in that defense.
And if Bam Knight stacks on the game he played last week, you know, rookie is a rookie in his first game ever. So there's a chance Bam Knight now has a little bit of confidence. He's feeling a little bit more confident. He's still not going up against a top tier, you know, defense to stop him. And has more confidence under his belt. I think, you know, Ty Johnson had the best game of his career as a running back.
Yeah, the Vikings allow plus 20. I mean, that's not a hard thing to achieve against the Vikings. They win because they score 30, not because they.
Right.
Not because
so we should be able to control the ball and run the ball and take pressure off of Mike White. Like, hey, if it's there, take it. But we're not putting the weight of the world on your shoulders here. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna control time of possession. We're gonna try to keep Justin Jefferson off the field where he belongs. Keep Kirk Cousins on the sideline, like you said. That's how they win. They win by scoring lots of points. We keep them off the field because yes, we have very good cornerbacks. Reed and Sauce can do a great job in coverage, but at the end of the day, you can't let them have too many chances because Jefferson is good enough. I don't care who's covering him. If you give them enough shots, they're gonna burn you.
We have to take
them off the field.
Yeah, we have to take care of business, and on our chances, we need to score.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, and I have so much faith in our defense that they're not going to get their 20-something 30 points. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. They're going to be in the teens, and they're going to let us have at least their usual 20. This is going to be a fun game. This will be a fun game because we're going into Minnesota. This is a top 1, top 2, top 3 team, at least record-wise. Gets a lot of respect around the league, at least some. And we're going to take them down, and we're going to do it handily. We're going to beat them like we beat Buffalo, and we're going to do it on the road, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I think it would be a very big deal if we can hold them and stop them from scoring in the first couple of drives and put up some points. We really could. To me, that's such a good way to like play with the lead. Really allows you again. To just take the pressure off and run the ball more. You're not forced to pass. There's no reason for Mike White to have to press. And that's how you take away the interceptions for him, by taking away the need to press.
Something pretty unbelievable is that the Jets had not scored a first drive touchdown all season, even with the very nice 6-4 record that we had. No first drive touchdowns. I think we only had 2 field goals in the first drive. And Mike White comes in their first game, wet field, touchdown, first drive. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. It was just a thing of beauty. And here we are saying, well, let's do it again. Let's go back to back first drive touchdowns.
It was a perfect drive. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing it again. Another opportunity for Mike LaFleur against a compromised defense, a defense that's not very strong, to script a really good first drive and for Mike White to come out and execute and just get it done, get that first touchdown, get everybody feeling good, and then let our defense go to work, and let them, they're dogs and let them be dogs.
Hey, we have a question here about a triple chaos. We have a triple chaos.
Well, my answer is stay tuned.
but he's a Carolina chaos.
He's a Carolina. Well, I have some ideas. You never know. So, but there is another chaos. He's out there. He doesn't really have much to say about the Jets right now, but that's easily fixable. A man can be educated. What's up, Chaos Crew? Question with Minnesota pass defense is a weak point. I hope we still focus on our run game first and play off of that. Do you guys think we'll get pass happy and forget about our run game? My quick answer to that is no way. There's no way we're going to forget about our run game. Even if we're able to run. I'll qualify. If we're able to run effectively, we will never forget about it, even if we could pass effectively as well. If you could do both, you mix it up. As soon as you get up, if you get a lead, you're never going to forget the run because you want to work that clock. Also, you minimize the of mistakes. Running the ball is a lot safer than passing the ball. So, and I think the philosophy of this coaching staff is when you're able to run the ball, you run the ball because it's the safest way to manage the game and control the game. What do you think, Blake?
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's always going to be run if it's there. First of all, it's going to be take whatever is there. Pass, run, take what they give you. If they're giving you the run, you take the run. But Jeremy's right, all about the safety. But there's one other thing, and I saw it when we were playing New England and the first time. And it's what made me super, super scared. And that was that you could tell the Jets D, as good as it was, that they were getting tired. Zach kept giving the ball back to New England, and the defense had to come right back on the field again. And they were actually, they scored 22. The defense was trying so hard. They had so many attempts to score because we kept giving them the ball. And so you've got to make their defense tired. And yeah, you can do it with the pass, but the run is how to break them down. And once you break down that line on the run, it's game over. Once you break them.
Yep.
And so you got to take your shots to break them, as many as you can.
Yep. Ice Force Quest 57. Welcome to the chat. It's a new one. I love the names. I think our defense could sack them a lot if their O-line is terrible. Well, I think our defensive line is good enough to get to any quarterback in the NFL against any offensive line in the NFL. It's just a matter of how often and how consistently.
Yeah, I didn't know I thought they had a pretty good offensive line, actually.
Somebody is hurt or injured. I forget who, but somebody pretty important. Darashaw, I think his name is Darashaw. I think it might be their left tackle. I think Darashaw, I think is his name. It hurts their run game more than it hurts their passing game, though. He's more of a run blocking OL lineman. But look,
we're gonna take our pounds of flesh. We do almost every game.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine us not. Look, if we don't, it's going to be a long day for us because our whole defense is built on the necessity of pressuring the quarterback.
Can I tell you something? This is really interesting that the defensive coach said today, a few hours ago. He said that the only way to stop Jefferson is to give him constant different looks. You can't, if you give him the same look, he's going to beat that look, right? He's going to learn the look. He's going to beat the look. Certainly no looks that you did last week, right? And so the Jets have to hide a lot of what they do. And I think, they opened up, wasn't it like the first defensive time we had the ball? We didn't really have the ball. The first time Miami had the ball, that's when Sauce got his sack that injured Bridgewater. I think it was like on the first play of Miami's first drive. And I would not be surprised, Jeremy, to see some blitz out of the Jets. Just because it's something they can't have prepared for because we have not been doing it very much.
Somebody mentioned that, and in the chat we'll get to it. And what's interesting about what they mentioned, I got to see who that was. It was Micro Fox. And I think it's a really good point because what he's saying is that Minnesota has a similar offense to the Dolphins in that, good running backs, major weapons at wide receiver, a quarterback who just gets them the ball. There's some similarities. Kirk Cousins is not the most mobile. So if we surprise them with the blitz, it could work. But one thing we've seen about them is even when the blitz worked against Miami, we don't stick with it. We don't to us, Robert Saleh has a number one philosophy. What he always says to the defense is no big plays. No big plays. Don't let the offense get a big play. So when we blitz, you're risking a big play.
Absolutely. But I'm
not going to overdo it.
I'll do a side bet right now. that
No,
we
no,
do
no.
a few blitzes.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
say-
blitz.
All right.
Well, I mean, he always has, even in San Francisco.
Yeah,
He's always, even with his philosophy is get there in 4. It's not never blitz.
Yeah, but you're
You know
going to
what
see.
I mean?
I think we're going to see. I think the only way they're going to stop Jefferson, particularly, is to mix it up. Just mix it up.
I think there are times you're going to see Quincy Williams go straight through, like straight around one of the tackles. You know what I mean? And be blitzing. I think Quincy Williams is the one they like to use.
Yeah,
because he's a hard hitter. He's very fast. He's very explosive. So he's a good weapon to look for. You could always look for Whitehead. You never know. Maybe Sauce Gardner does it again. You know. Anyway, I want to thank our Biv25. We got a lot of new people. I like that. It's exciting. New names, new people. And this new name is actually doing a super chat. And those of you know, if you've been around here, in most of these live streams, super chats always cut the line and always get read. So thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. Supports the channel, keeps the channel running. Arbiv says, scenario, Mike White plays poorly over the next 2 games, but the Jets win the games. Do you go to Flacco at that point or back to Zach? Well, I'll start with my answer by saying it depends. I'm sure they have some criteria of what Zach has to do in practice and what he says, what his actions, everything. I think that they are being serious that Zach has the opportunity to win the job back with the understanding that it's Mike White's job to lose. So if Mike White's playing poorly and Zach's looking like he got through his problems in practice,
his yips,
I don't think you're seeing Flacco. The only way you'd see Flacco is if Mike White was horrible and Zach just shows no evidence of getting rid of the yips. Lee, take it away.
You said it. I would expect that as soon as Zach is yipless, that he'll be the backup quarterback at that point. Mm-hmm. I find it just personally very hard to believe that they'll take the ball away from Mike White as long as he continues winning, even if they think Zach is ready. And what they'll just say to the press is, hey, Zach's getting better, making good progress. He's back up now. And he really will be back up until I think Mike White plays poorly. But if we see Mike White playing poorly, and Zach's ready, he's coming in. If he's not ready, then it's Flacco.
Well, Arbiv, I hope that answers your question. That's our takes, and thank you again for the super chat.
Is there another guy? Is there another guy?
Another what guy?
Don't we have a 4th quarterback out there somewhere?
Oh, Strevler. Oh, no, let's not get started on Strevler. A lot of things in the world would have to change between now and the time Strevler would get an opportunity to play. I
agree. So the thing is, a lot. What we didn't discuss when we answered that question, Jeremy. The only thing that's interesting about it is, when does it happen? I mean, does he play poorly immediately? Do you play so bad for 2 games that we're out of the playoff hunt? And if we are, then that's different. Then you have to say, well, Zach's good enough, even though he still has some problems. Let's see how he does in the game. You start developing Zach again. I mean, part of this decision wasn't just the yippiness; it was the fact that we could go far. We could really make a dent in the playoff run. So they had to find a solution that could win games and keep us alive. So if we're out of it because White plays poorly, I don't know. They could stick with White until Zach's ready, kind of like they're saying they're going to do. It's only if they're winning that I think they keep Zach on the bench regardless.
Right. If we're winning, you don't change the formula.
No, you want to keep your job.
People forget that coaches can go from everything's going great to being on the hot seat so quickly.
Yeah.
So, coaches, it's just the nature of the league. It's unfortunate, but coaches, unless they have an understanding with the management of this is the plan, it's going to like we did last year, then you're okay. But if we didn't show improvement this year, there's no plan you could show anybody that's going to protect your job. I'm sure that Saleh had a very clear understanding all the way up to Woody Johnson. And that understanding was Don't expect to see victories this year. This was last year. It's not what it's about.
I think ownership. I think they're ahead of schedule for real. I think ownership is quite pleased.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he made a dumb move, he'd have to have really good reasons. I imagine part of the reason I think there are a lot of reasons why Saleh is talking as if Zach's coming back soon. And I think one of the reasons is because the general manager probably invested a lot of his own personal stake in getting Zach, and he doesn't want to make him look bad. I imagine Saleh is very close to Zach, spent a lot of time with him, and he wants to bring his guy back, but also he doesn't want to ruin Zach. I mean, if he's sitting there saying, yeah, Mike White's the guy, Zach has a harder time, I think, trying to find himself. And then lastly, someone said this about my video that we released this morning, Jeremy, and that is that when Saleh's speaking, if you imagine he's talking directly to Zach, when he's saying he makes the easy look easy. He's just doing what he's supposed to do. When he says those things, I think he's talking to Zach and saying, look, Zach, we're not asking you to be a superhero. We're not asking you to do incredible things. We're just asking you, Zach, to make the easy look easy.
I think he's definitely doing that.
Yeah.
And the problem with Zach is I don't care if he was playing against high school kids 2 weeks ago. Or against the Bears. The Bears could have been a high school. If you put Zach in, he's not throwing 75% because he can't even throw a 5-yard pass to his teammates. I mean, he can't complete 75% of his passes because if you went to the park with him right now and had a catch, he wouldn't complete 75% of his passes because something is wrong with him. He's got the yips and he can't throw a football.
He's got the yips.
But that doesn't mean that Zach is not going to get it back. It doesn't mean he's not going to pull it together. It doesn't mean he's not going to end up being the quarterback. It just means he went into a dark place and he needed a reset. But the reality is when you need a reset it's in any job, it's not just sports, in any job in the world, when you step away and someone else steps in, if that person does really well, now management's got a decision. So if Mike White keeps playing well, he stays the starter. If he doesn't, Zach is looking better and got rid of the yips, he'll be back. It's very simple. It's really not complicated.
Jeremy, when you talk about Zach can't throw 75%, I do want to point out that against the Buffalo Bills, he threw 72%.
Look.
I'm
right
saying
here.
he has capability.
There
was some really iffy passes in that game. Okay,
we know he's capable of it.
Yeah,
we know. I was his biggest defender after the Buffalo game. The biggest defender. I was publicly defended him, and Ice Force is making fun of me for it right now. He's saying, you know what I mean? You should leave Zach alone. Yes, I was saying leave Zach alone because Zach, I believed at that time. And maybe Mike White will prove me wrong. Maybe he won't. But I believe at that time especially that Zach Wilson was the only quarterback on our roster that could have led us to victory in that game over Buffalo. Now, I don't know Mike White enough 100% to sit there and make that statement as fact. But I held on to, and a lot of people, I got a lot of slack for this. I held on to the belief that when we play excellent teams, like when we get to the level of playing great defenses, when our quarterbacks are at their best, not in that dark place, but when our quarterbacks are at their best, Zach Wilson gives us the best chance of beating very good teams. Now, Mike White might prove me wrong because if Mike White has another great game against Minnesota and then goes into Buffalo and doesn't stink it up, because anybody who says he's going to stink it up doesn't know what they're talking about because we don't know anything until the game is played. But if he goes into Buffalo and does not stink it up and has a good game against Buffalo, at some point, the fans, even the ones that are the most resistant, will have to accept the fact that our bias of Mike White and where he was drafted and how it's not supposed to have happened is for real. At some point, it might not even be against Buffalo. It might not even be this year. Maybe he can play great every game this year, and in the offseason, people are still going to say, I need to see him do it for another season. I'm not saying he's going to, but what doesn't make sense to me is how many Jet fans are so against it. Like, we got a Jet fan who wants to see Mike White fail because he thinks that he's being disloyal to Zach Wilson for supporting Mike White. And that's the problem. When you have a fan that doesn't understand, no, your job as a fan, or what the point of being a fan is to support your team, regardless of quarterback. Like, you don't root against your quarterback because he's not.
We're Jets jersey fans, right? I'm not saying I don't love the people. I get all excited. Sauce Gardner, I love him. Garrett Wilson. I was in love with the Wilson to Wilson connection. I thought was going to happen all season long. Thought we were going to get tons of W squared, touchdowns. But you got to face reality, and I don't think we know where Zach. People said Zach had the higher ceiling. You looked at some of those passes; they looked fantastic in college. People said Dallas cut him multiple times, right? They put him up against Dak and took Dak, and he's starting now. Maybe he was close. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has a lot of great skills, and maybe Saleh sees him too. That's why he keeps coming back onto the roster. But that's over now. You're never going to cut that guy again without him getting picked up. I mean, in the next few years. I mean, he's got 2 amazing games under his belt. People are going to see that.
And hey, I just want to say hello to people real quick. Dakota, what's going on? Super Leroy, thank you for being so active in the chat. Matt B, I don't agree with you, but thanks for being so active in the chat. Lead the people. What's going on? It's good to see you. Joe Campione, I want to say one thing. I don't think they're looking to trade Zach Wilson, and here's why. Aside from the fact that I don't think that Zach is done, and we could know that he's not the guy yet, because I still think there's a window of opportunity that Zach could be the guy. Aside from that, trading Zach doesn't take away the cap hit. There's nothing Joe Douglas hates more than dead cap money. Trading Zach leaves us with dead cap money. And I do not believe that Joe Douglas wants that situation. And I do not believe the Jets organization is willing to give up on Zach Wilson that easily and that quickly. There are some things about him that make you still have to believe there's a chance. There's a chance. So, no, we're not biological twins. Anyway, we have to go. I'm sorry to end it really suddenly. We have to go because I am due somewhere else. Green Bean Jets fan.
Yes.
Thursday, thick of it. One of the best shows on the internet is about to start. Yes. I've got to get over there. I want everybody here to get over there. Lee, why don't you say your goodbyes?
Jeremy, Mr. Chaos, thank you for letting me on your show. I love it here. Thanks for sparking the Jet fan in me to all new levels. I'm going to say 24-13 Jets.
Okay. I'm going to say 31-23 Jets as my prediction. 31-23. And on that note, now I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, go Jets. Go Jets.
We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media. Matt O'Leary. Iowa Jets fan. We're in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go.
Jets by 1 million today.
Yeah.